you've fallen into his trap. He took my hand, brought it to his lips, and kissed it, saying, "Only you rascal, but loves to eat cold salads. But when I add garlic, he frowns. I put in vinegar, and he vomits. In a fit of anger, I resigned." He said, "You dare." I really don't dare, because HE's given me far too much. But later, he ended up seducing me into bed. I can only run. Gu Xingyi has a discerning palate. He loves eating cold salads, but they don't eat scallions, ginger, or garlic. I don't eat our foods, let alone spicy ones. I can't even look at cilantro. Facing his unreasonable demands, I clenched my back teeth, calmed myself down for a moment, and said patiently, "Mr. Gu, but if you don't add those seasonings, the cold salad just won't taste good." He gave a faint toe, then raised an eyebrow. Extremely cold expression. A skilled chef wouldn't bother with these minor details. If it doesn't taste good, I'm just going to fire you. I took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Having mentally prepared myself countless times, always wearing a smile, I said, "Don't worry. Guaranteed to satisfy you." He also loves eating dumplings. But don't let the green onions get too big. And I don't eat chives either. Also doesn't eat cabbage. I said I'd make it with seafood filling. He said, "Snow peas. You know full well I'm allergic to seafood. Yet, you still make me eat dumplings filled with seafood. Are you trying to make me die?" I corrected him with my eyes closed. "Mr. Gu, my name is He Du. I know you're incredibly busy, with countless tasks to handle every day, but my name isn't that hard to remember, is it?" He lightly raised his eyelids and said, "Got it. Snow peas. Let's just stick with snow peas." Finally, I made him a filling entirely of meat. He took a bite and spat it out. "It's too greasy." How could it not be greasy? When faced with his difficult behavior, I sometimes get a headache, because I've always had a vague feeling that he did it on purpose. However, as such a big boss, there's no way HED deliberately target me on purpose. Moreover, because he gave so much, 80,000 per month, there are bonuses and gifts during holidays. HES not the difficult General Gu. HES my god of wealth. I can even tolerate the storm coming a bit more fiercely. For the storm is coming. A delicate and voluptuous woman came to see Gu Xingyi. Previously, Gu Xingyi lived in a villa and was attended to by for servants. One person is in charge of his meals and daily life. One person is responsible for the villa's cleanliness, one person handles washing pots and dishes, and another drives him around. Since I arrived, HES fired all those people. Right now, I'm in charge of everything related to Gu Xingyi. I am a qualified nanny. Smiling, he invited her in and poured her some exquisite tea and pastries. I went upstairs to call Gu Xingyi. On Saturday morning, he didn't go to the office and was busy in his study. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't bother him, because once, I wasn't sure whether he wanted sweet and sour pork ribs or braised pork ribs, so I went into the study to ask him. I didn't know he was having a video conference. He looked at me in surprise. A surprised and teasing voice came from the video. "Holy cow! You've been hiding a mistress all along." I've caused him trouble. I'm afraid hell's called me. I immediately closed the door and ran out. Before long, he came out. Not the reproach and anger I had imagined. Instead, he coughed softly a few times and said with a distant look in his eyes, "Sweet and sour pork ribs." I knocked on the door of his study. Gu Xingyi gave a faint nod in response. This is what lets me in. Opening the door, I poked my head out and said with a smile, "Mr. Gu, someone's here to see you." He paused his work and asked, "Who?" I raised my eyebrows at him with a sly and kind look. If he has good news, he'll definitely be happy, and when HE's happy, you'll get a bonus. I said with a hidden meaning, "A woman. A very beautiful woman." Gu Xingyi's hand holding the fountain pen paused for a moment. He looked up at me, his brows faintly furrowing. His tone lacked any warmth. "Let her go." I was taken aback. This reaction was completely different from what it expected. Whilst he always opened to any pretty woman who came his way, last time, Secretary Jean said that Mr. Gus' former girlfriends could easily fill to Marchhorn tables. I was ready to give up, so I leaned a bit closer, lowered my voice. He said with a hint of gossip, Mr. Gu, "It seems like Chess Miss Sue, whom you used to know. She says she has something really important to discuss with you," and Chess almost in tears. As soon as these words were uttered, Gu Xingye's expression grew even colder. He jabbed the tip of his pen hard into the document, causing a small blotch of ink to spread out. He called me by my full name, his tone laced with a warning. I said, "Let her go." Just as he was turning to leave, he spoke again, his voice softer this time. "Wait." I turned to look at him. He was leaning back in his chair, his fingertips pressed against his brow, as if a bit tired. "Tell her I'm not here. And next time, just block that kind of person right at the door. No need to bother asking me." "Got it." I quickly nodded, thinking to myself, has the god of wealth gotten his feathers ruffled today? Or did I say something that upset him? I went downstairs and gave Miss Sue an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry, Mr. Gu isn't home, please head back." The woman clearly didn't believe him. Her eyes instantly turned red, and her voice trembled with tears as she said, "Do. I know HES and just let me see him. I really have something incredibly important to tell him." I sighed inwardly. Why on earth did Gu Xingye's peach minus blossom debts have to be my problem? I kept a professional fake smile plastered on my face and said, "Miss Sue, Mr. Gu really isn't here. If you have something to discuss, you can give him a call. He won't answer my calls." She bit her lip, looking on the verge of tears, a sight that was both heartbreaking and endearing. Too bad I'm a woman, I don't fall for that kind of act. Just as the standoff was reaching an impasse, footsteps echoed from upstairs. Gu Xingye came down, dressed in casual loungewear, his face cold and expressionless. He walked over to me, immediately shielding me behind him, and said to the woman, "I told you get out." Tss. Miss Sus tears immediately began to fall. "Hoshino, why won't you see me? We used to." "Let's not bring up what happened before," Gu Xingye interrupted her, his tone as cold as ice. "I'm really busy right now and don't have time to hang out with you." "Security? Please escort her out." The villa's security guard quickly came over and escorted the sobbing woman out. In the living room, finally, as soon as I finally calmed down, I breathed a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to turn and head to the kitchen to prepare lunch, Gu Xingye suddenly grabbed my wrist. His palm was hot, the warmth seeping through the thin fabric of his clothes. I instinctively wanted to pull my hand away, but he held it even tighter. "Did you just get scared?" He lowered his gaze to look at me, his eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. I shook my head, then nodded again. "It's not that I'm afraid. Rather, I just feel that General Gus' romantic luck is a bit too strong." He let out a low chuckle, a deep, melodious sound that was completely unlike the cold, aloof person he'd been just moments ago. "Is that so? Then you've saved me from it. What reward do you want?" My eyes lit up, and I immediately straightened my back. "A bonus." He laughed at me, let go of my hand, and rustled my hair. "Always thinking about money. Otherwise what?" I said confidently. "You're paying me 80 Zaro a month, not so I can help you ward off romantic suitors." His smile faded slightly, and his gaze grew solemn. "How do in your eyes? Am I just your god of wealth?" I was taken aback by his question. Why did it sound so strange? After thinking for a moment, I said, "What else would it be?" "You're my boss, and I'm your nanny. I'm responsible for taking care of you, and you're irresponsible for paying me. That's perfectly reasonable, isn't it?" He didn't say a word, he just stared at me deeply, making my heart feel uneasy. I quickly found an excuse to slip into the kitchen. "Mr. Gu, I'll go make sweet and sour spare ribs for you." I was busy in the kitchen when Gu Xingye suddenly followed me in, leaning against the door frame and watching me. I felt so uncomfortable under his gaze that I almost dropped the spatula in my hand. "Mr. Goo, aren't you supposed to be busy with work? I'm not busy anymore, he said. Just watching you cook. My lips twitched. I wonder when he suddenly got so much free time. The spare ribs in the pot sizzled softly. I carefully added the seasonings, not daring to put even a hint of scallion, ginger, or garlic in. I also don't dare to add vinegar instead. I rely solely on rock sugar to create the caramel color, then add just a tiny bit of light soy sauce for extra flavor. Standing behind her, he suddenly spoke during that video conference last time. What did you hear? My hand trembled, and I almost knocked over the sugar bowl. Of course I heard it, the friend's remark. A golden chamber hides a beauty. Even now, when I think about it, my face still flushes with embarrassment. And minus no, I didn't hear anything, I said vaguely. I was running too fast at the time. He let out a low chuckle, walked behind me, and suddenly reached out, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind. I was so scared that my whole body froze, and the spatula even fell right into the pot. Go, General, go. My voice was trembling. W minus, what are you doing? His chin rested against the hollow of my neck, and his warm breath brushed against my skin. Tickling it gently, he doo-doo. His voice was low and seductive. What are you running away for? My mind went completely blank, and I could only say stiffly, I didn't run him stir minus frying. His hand gently stroked my waist, his tone tinged with a hint of resentment. Last time, I tricked you into bed. And you ran away? This time, do you still want to run? My face suddenly flushed hot, and the scene from that day flooded into my mind uncontrollably. It was his birthday, had a bit to drink, and HED had too much as well. Then, something happened that shouldn't have happened. The thing was, when I woke up the next day and saw his sleeping face, I was so scared that my soul nearly fled. I grabbed my things and was about to bolt, but he ended up blocking me at the door. At the time, he said with a cold face, if you dare to run, don't even think about getting a single penny. Chinned out. For the sake of that 80,000 monthly salary, I stayed, and pretended nothing had ever happened. Mr. Gu, it was an accident. I tried my best to keep my voice calm. Let's just pretend nothing ever happened, okay? His hand tightened, holding me even closer. Not good. I panicked and tried to turn around and push him away, but he held me tightly in his arms. He'd outdo. His voice carried a seriousness he'd never heard before. I'm not acting on a whim. I was stunned and didn't know how to respond for a moment. The ribs in the pot had burned, emitting a pungent, scorched smell. It was only then that I realized what had happened and quickly turned off the heat. Gu Xingyi also let go of me and frowned as he glanced at the charred ribs in the pot. They're burnt. It's all your fault, I said, both angry and embarrassed. Throwing the spatula down, I declared him quitting. After finishing speaking, I turned around and started to walk out, but he grabbed my wrist. He pulled me back into his arms and leaned down to kiss me. This kiss carried a hint of punishment, hard and urgent, and I could hardly catch my breath. All I could do was let him hold me tight, letting him take over every inch of me. It wasn't until I was nearly suffocating that he finally let go of me. Pressing his forehead against mine, he panted, "Hey, do, stop playing dumb." I looked at his face, which was so close to mine that my heart was racing, almost leaping out of my throat. I opened my mouth, but didn't know what to say. Looking at my flustered expression, he let out a low chuckle and kissed the corner of my lips. It was when you first made me cold salad without any scallions, ginger, or garlic, but still managed to make it incredibly delicious that I noticed you. I was stunned, so it was what I'd thought after all. He hadn't been deliberately trying to make things difficult for me. I'd dismissed all the servants except for you. Do you have any idea why? His fingertips lightly traced my cheek. I deliberately got your name wrong. Deliberately found fault with you. Everything I did was just to get you to look at me a little more, to say a few more words to me. I was completely baffled. So all those annoying, tricky situations that had been giving me such a headache were actually just his clumsy attempts to get closer to me. During that last video call, when I saw you barge in, I'll admit I felt kind of happy. His voice was unnaturally gentle. When my friend said I was hiding a treasure in my golden house, I wasn't mad at all. In fact, I even felt secretly pleased. That Miss Sue? She's my ex-girlfriend. We broke up a long time ago. She came to see me because she wants us to get back together, but I have no intention of seeing her at all. He looked directly into my eyes and said slowly, "One word at a time, Idudu. The person I like is you." Tears fell from my eyes without warning. Whether from frustration or from being deeply moved, I wasn't sure. It turned out that the god of wealth that imagined had long since set his heart on me, yet all he'd been fixated on was his money. "Don't cry," he said, flustered, wiping my tears with fumbling hands. Did I say something wrong? I shook my head, burrowed into his arms, buried my face against his chest, and mumbled softly, "Gushingi, are you so annoying? Why didn't you say so earlier?" He held me close, patting my back with a tone laced with a hint of resignation. "I'm afraid if I say it, you'll run away. After all, judging by how you look, it seems like you're only interested in my money." I raised my head and gave him a sharp glare. "Isn't it all because of you? You started by giving me so much money I thought you just saw me as a servant." He let out a soft chuckle and kissed my forehead. "It's my fault. I promise I'll never let you misunderstand me again. That day, we didn't cook anymore. He took me out to eat at that private Minas dining restaurant he'd always wanted to try but hadn't dared to go to. He ordered a table full of dishes I love, and as he watched me gobble them down, he smiled gently. Later, I continued working as a nanny at his villa, but my role had changed. He'd wrap his arms around me from behind while I was cooking. He'd massage my shoulders when I felt tired, and when I was preparing cold dishes, he'd proactively say, "That's a garlic, don't worry, I'm fine." I watched him frown as he took a bite of the cold salad seasoned with garlic. His eyes narrowed tightly, and he bit his lip to hold back a wince. I couldn't stop laughing. He looked at me and said helplessly, "What are you laughing at?" "Laughing at your hypocrisy," I said. He put down his chopsticks and looked at me earnestly. "As long as it's something you made, I'll love eating anything you serve. My heart feels warm and cozy, so this is what it feels like to be cherished by someone you like." Once, when his friend came over for dinner and saw how we interacted, he teased him, "Hey, what happened to that, mister? Gu used to be completely unyielding. How come HES now become a total pushover when it comes to his wife?" He put his arm around my shoulder and grinned with smug satisfaction. "That's because I've finally met someone who can keep me in check." I looked at him and couldn't help but smile. It turned out that what he'd thought was a storm was actually his gentlest confession to me. Later, I asked him, "Why were you so surprised when you tried the cold salad I made for the first time?" He thought for a moment, then said, "Because that was the first time I'd ever tasted a cold salad that didn't include scallions, ginger, or garlic, but still tasted absolutely delicious." Right then and there, I knew this woman was a little bit different. I raised an eyebrow. "It's just because of the cold salad." He let out a low chuckle, leaned close to my ear, and whispered softly, "And by the way you were bowing back then looking like a little kitten with its fur all ruffled up was absolutely adorable." He took my hand and kissed it gently, saying, "Only to you, you rascal." It turns out that all the teasing and hardship were actually carefully planned approaches. All the insincere words and feigned indifference were nothing but hidden, uncontainable affection.